Hey guys, this is Miriam from The Skin Deep. I just want to talk to you very quickly about our Patreon page, just right here. We really believe in the work that we do, and if you do too, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Enjoy!
When you think about your early adulthood, what do you remember?
Wow. Early adulthood? Prison, man. I mean, I was incarcerated from the age of 21 to 34, bro. It's like when people were talking about what they were doing when they were 22, 23, and then the conversation turns to me, I was like, well, I was, 22, I was in Clinton,
Yeah.
upper age,
Yeah.
trying to figure out, whether I'm going to go to the yard and bathhouse or I'm going to stay in that day,
Yeah.
It was a real dark time, man. It was filled with tears. It was filled with hopelessness. It was filled with agony. It was filled with a lot of emotional pain, feeling like there's so many things happening in my family that I know for a fact would not be happening if I were there. And then programming myself to say, hey, Johnny, this is your home now. You're not going anywhere until, 2013, and it's 2002. So when I think about my early adulthood, that's what it was: confusion, darkness, physical and emotional pain, and overwhelming sense of hopelessness.
Yeah, I went into the system and I was 21, almost 22. Very similar to you. Like, I went in, it was 2004, and, didn't have those experiences. Like, I don't remember ever being able to, think about a life ahead of me that didn't seem bleak. I was very fortunate that that I had won my appeal and my conviction was overturned and I got a lesser sentence. And I remember getting out at 28. I asked myself, well, what am I going to do with those 2 years? You know what I mean? What investment am I going to make that I'm going to look back at these 2 years and say it was better, I did better out here than I would have in prison? In what ways have I helped shape your understanding of our system?
Yeah, real deep. So the immigration piece, society says you've paid your debt, and for some reason you believe them. You said, okay, I believe you. I'm going to go to college and educate myself, complete my education that I started in one of the darkest places known to man. Not only that, but I'm going to excel that, and I'm going to go and get a master's degree. I'm going to reclaim my role in my family and extend my family by creating kids, and I'm going to live responsibly, and more importantly, I'm going to add value to the community that I live in, however I can do it. And then one day society says, we don't care about none of that. And what biggest form of bullying is saying, hey, we don't want you here anymore, you got to go. And I don't care about you or the people that love you, whatever, they'll figure it out. But right now, you're getting kicked out.
So thank you for sharing that. I mean, one thing about my immigration experience is that it touched a lot of people, man. People kept asking the question, like, how much is enough? How much? Like, this guy right here is like the epitome of what we can do, how we can rehabilitate someone, we can change them, we can change their thinking, change their behavior. And still, it's not enough, So one of the ways that you've helped me shape my understanding of our system is, again, talking about the experience with your daughter, about how incarceration in the criminal justice system leaves trauma that is sometimes generational. And that although your daughter can say she's never been incarcerated firsthand, she does know what it's like to go through security, or to not wear a certain thing, or to not act a certain way, or to not look a certain way, or to not, sometimes even think a certain way. And that's something that your story has taught me, that this system damages people, and sometimes it's multi-generational.
Yeah, definitely. What scares you the most these days? these days?
Yeah. Scares me the most these days is, like, I worry about my daughters a lot, you know? Like, they're gonna be 2 young women of color one day, and I worry about them a lot. I worry about all of the decisions that I'm making now, all of the sacrifices that my wife and I make. I worry that that it's not enough, you know, that we're not really preparing them for what they're gonna face. And that's something that constantly, like, terrifies me. Yeah. You know, especially when I turn on the TV and I see a 13-year-old girl getting body slammed because she's on a phone. Like, that is something that I see my daughter, you know? Yeah. How do you think my experience was different than yours?
I think that your experience was different yet, or unique, like everyone else's, and that's the paradox, you know? Of course, you know, I did more time than you, you know, and you did less, but I think maybe how we interpreted and handled and even processed what was happening to us might have been a different kind of process, yet still arriving at the same, you know? And it's funny, this is not anything we ever talked about, you know, but I was angry for a lot of years, you know, for a lot of years. And my transformation didn't come until the end of my 13 years, towards year 7, 8. And I was like, I gotta make some changes. And I started to kind of get things, you know? But, you know, I didn't stop applying criminal solutions to my problems the day that I arrived at prison, or even for years after that. You know, and I really don't know if it's the same for you as far as your process behind those concrete walls, but I'm glad that even within our differences that we're alike now, and you know, we're in a space where our work not only complements each other and strengthens each other's work, you know, but also to find ourselves in places like this, having these kind of discussions, man, like I would never think, you know, so.
Yeah, so one of the ways I think your experience is different than mine, and it's something that I think about. When your incarceration began, your daughter was very young. And, you know, I remember going into the system, you know, feeling like I didn't have anything to really lose, because although I was looking at, you know, an 11-year sentence, and I had a family who really cared about me, I also knew that I didn't have any children who were dependent on me to be there. And that was one of the first things that I saw in my incarceration that crippled me, and I wasn't even a parent at that time, was how people were forced to be parents while incarcerated, and how difficult that is. You know, when I hear you talk about your experience with your daughter, even now, I think about all of the trauma that she had to go through, you know what I mean? And it makes me then reflect about me and my children now that I am a father, and how, you know, how my decisions actually like impact them.
It's funny you say that. So I remember my daughter coming on a visit one time, and like I went from a span of like 4 years without seeing her, and she was literally like this tall one visit, and then the next visit she's like this tall. I didn't even recognize her. She's like, "Daddy, it's me," you know. And I immediately, like, it brought tears to my eyes, because I said, "Wow, I don't recognize my own child," you know. And she was at an age, you know how kids, they start asking questions. "Daddy, why are you in jail? Why did you do," you know? My daddy broke the law, and this is what happens, you know. When you break the law, you go to prison. And she's like, "Why did you break the law?" I said, "Well, we needed money, you know, so I broke the law to get money." And here it was, you know, this 9-year-old girl, my daughter, says to me, "Why didn't you just get a job?" You know? And suddenly I want to rattle statistics and, you know, inequality and, you know, white privilege and how I'm a black man in today's society with already having a record and all of this stuff. And she just like really made it so simple that it wasn't just get a job. Why didn't you just, you know, live responsibly? And I can kind of see in her eyes, why didn't you think of me? You know, and I mean, to this day, I remember that conversation. She remembers it too, you know? What's the pain in me you'd like to heal? What's the pain in me you'd like to heal? Nice.
I think, well, one is, before we had this conversation, one is any pain associated with you not being there when your daughter grew up. And that's me largely assuming that there is still some pain there. I would like to heal that for you.
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now that we've had this conversation, the pain of like not having a relationship with a father, not a father figure, because I have many father figures, but I know what that's like to have that lacking. And then more importantly, I know what that's like to actually engage it. You know, like now I'm in the process of trying to engage my own father. And it's painful.
It is.
And that's something that I wish I could heal for you.
Yeah. Thanks. Y'all gonna have me crying this piece, man. What's going on?
Oh no, it's my turn.
Oh yeah.
Hey guys, if you want to have this kind of deep conversation and you enjoyed this video, you can bring the end experience home with this card game. To learn more about it, you can visit our website, theskindeep.com/shop, and you can also click on this little tile, this little card right here. Thank you.